Homes. And at the very beginning of November, the entire month of November is on gratitude. And instead of just one reading, I have several small readings about gratitude I would like to read to you. An attitude of gratitude is most salutary and bespeaks the realization that we are now in heaven. And that's from Ernest Holmes. The next one says, there is something in this attitude of thanksgiving that carries us beyond the field of doubt into one of perfect faith and acceptance, receptivity, realization. Ernest Holmes again said that. The next one is, I awoke this morning with devout thanksgiving for my friends, the old and the new. Shall I not call God the beautiful, who daily showeth himself so to me in his gifts? And that's from Ralph Waldo Emerson. And the next one is, all of creation is a song of praise to God. And that's from Hildegard of Bingen. And the last one is, if the only prayer you say in your entire life is thank you, that would suffice. From Meister Eckhart. And now, to speak today, our guest speaker is the author of the book Universal Woman. It has been taught at the Teaching of the Inner Christ. She's also an author of other books. She is a consultant for church growth, and she is currently consulting with the Teaching of the Inner Christ. And that has been her mission. She works in the hospices as a Unity chaplain. She prays in hospices. She's had 20 years of working with small and big churches. And she is, in my opinion, and this is my own personal opinion, one of the most loving people I've ever known. Today we are honored to hear her speak on We Are Grateful for God's Love. Please welcome with me, Diane Keys. No pressure.
I think you just said it all. Okay. I have to turn my little timer on because I'm not a professional speaker. I'm a background person. So I know it's best to keep to a certain amount of time. I'm not staying back here. I don't, okay.
You can get
I know. I have to get my little timer on here. There we go. Thank you, Jennifer, and thank you all of you for allowing me to speak. I'm a background person, not a front person usually, so, and I also get teary very easily, so please bear with me. I am here to tell you my story for, we're on, okay, of how I came to TIC. And my story starts, so I want you to picture 1975, Toronto, Canada. I know. Okay. Toronto, Canada. I get a phone call from my mother to tell me that my sister is having surgery, and it's an important and serious surgery, and it is, she wants me to come home to Michigan to be there, to be with my mom and to support my sister. So of course I went. And I went from Toronto to, my mom lived in St. Clair Shores, Michigan. I'm talking like she's still around. She's not. Anyway, okay, so we went to the hospital, and they showed us to a wooden park bench to sit across about 10 feet away from the surgical room. And it just seemed like we were sitting there for hours and hours, and you don't know, you're just, anticipating the outcome. And so we just patiently waited and wrung our hands and did all the stuff moms and sisters do. So eventually 2 doctors emerged from the room, and one went off to change or whatever, and the other came toward my mother and I. And he said, well, the surgery went okay, we're done. Terry's being taken to the recovery room, and she'll probably sleep the rest of the day. Of course, they give them heavier drugs in those days, so she wasn't going to be able to talk to us that day. And he said, I have the sad news to tell you that the pathologist was at the table with us. He examined the tissue and cysts, and he declared this is cancer. So we were stunned. We knew my sister didn't know yet, and we were heartbroken for her. She was 28 years old, unmarried, never had children, and it was the first time there was any cancer in our family. So we were just numb by the whole thing. And we went, I took my mother home, and the next day I returned to Toronto. I was having lunch with my husband and Joe Zito, who is a beloved character for this organization. And for those of you who might be newer than the rest of us, Joe Zito was Anne's son-in-law. Roberta Zito, as a minister here. And he was our manager. And I told him the story of my sister, and he said, you need to talk to my mother-in-law. And I went, oh, okay, so is she some kind of healer or something? He goes, she's something. And she's a healer, and she's a minister, and she is in San Diego. So I don't want to kick you, I'm sorry. So I just said, okay, well, that was way out there for me at that time. Okay, this is all I could say. So my sister had to see the doctor within a week. She went to see the doctor. He was going to describe to her what her options were. And she called me, and he said the doctor gave me 30 days to decide what to do. She went to her boss, asked for a 30-day leave of absence, which she got that day, came home, packed her bags, got on the plane, went to Puerto Vallarta, Mexico. Yeah. Who gets to sit on the beach to determine what's next for themselves? She did. But, we didn't even know where it was. Where's Puerto Vallarta? Somewhere in Mexico, I guess. She must be, we didn't know. And we were just glad for her that she was able to take off for a month. So I go back, so I get off the phone, and I go to Joe, and I said, I think I want that phone number. I need to call her. And I said, what do I, he goes, just tell her this story. Okay, so I do. So I call from Toronto, Canada, to San Diego, California, which in 1975 was an international phone call. Mm-hmm. So I was like, this is a big deal. Nowadays, it's like 5 seconds. Anyway, so I called her. She answered the phone herself. I thought, she's a big healer. She would have people for that, right? She answered the phone. And she very kindly and patiently listened to me tell my story about my sister. So she asked my sister's name, and she, and she just, and I said, she's on this 30-day waiting period to, she's gonna have to have more surgery and all this. So Andrew said, okay, she's gone for 30 days. Now just, let me tell you, this is how it's gonna go. Okay. Before I tell you what Anne said, I have to tell you that this was way out there for me. I belonged to a family of generations who belonged to what I call a PMS church. We went to parochial school. We had this box that we lived in, and if you don't know, and maybe you even came from a PMS church is that poor, miserable sinner. And you don't go outside the box. I was going outside the box making a phone call. So it was, she says to me, okay, so I'm going to tell you how this is going to go. Your sister is going to be in Mexico for 30 days. I'm going to pray for her for 30 days. And we're going to ask the love of God to handle this situation. Okay, what do I do? And she said, nothing. You just hold good thoughts for your sister. And okay, so we stopped wringing our hands for 30 days, or I did. I called my sister, or no, I called my mother. I couldn't call my sister. And just said, I called this healer lady in San Diego, and she says, everything's gonna be okay. And my mother's like, so how are the kids? Okay, that's where it's gonna be, okay? So, let's see, so 30 days go by. My sister goes to the doctor, and he tells her, we have made a terrible mistake. I am so sorry. I know this puts you through, he said, we have made a terrible, terrible mistake. The pathology report arrived, and you do not have cancer. My sister, I said, yes. So, so I call Anne, and first, my sister tells me, I say to her, Terry, that is word for word what that healer lady in San Diego said. And my sister's response was, okay, listen, I gotta call Mom, bye. And I'm just like, what just happened? What just happened here? This is like a miracle in my mind. This is a miracle. This is a miracle worker. So I have to say, I just didn't know what to do next but call in. So I called a healer lady in San Diego. And I called her and I said, my sister called me, the doctors apologized, it's everything that you said to me, they said to her. And she said, well, that's how it works. And I said, well, please forgive me. This is so not anything I've ever experienced before. So please tell me how do let me make a donation of something. And so she goes, okay, and I said, please forgive my ignorance. I don't even know what's appropriate. Please just give me an appropriate number. She goes, well, how about $45? And I said, would you give me your address? So I gave the address, and I thank her. I promised I would send her a check right away, take it, I wrote it all out right then, and when I was done with that, I went, this woman just cured cancer for $45? Now, in today's money, that would be $263.73. What? We should all be out there healing, I mean, it's like, I was just amazed. I mean, so that was 1975, late 1975. 1976, we are moving to California. We are moving to California. So I went to, first I have to tell you, I went to Joe Zito, and I told him what happened, and he just smiled, and he said, I have something for you. And he gave me this book, and it was called This Thing Called You. Ernest Holmes, probably all of you have read it. And I thanked him for the book. I asked him, can I keep this? I thought, well, I'll read it. I read it all night long, finished the whole thing, and I believed every word in that book. And it was so different from anything I had learned growing up, anything my family had ever taught or said or anything. And so I had to go, at least go to San Diego and meet this woman again. And I just, Joe told me that she had written this book called Woman Awareness. So of course I had to have that too. And I read that all the way to California. I didn't tell my husband. I just was. I didn't tell my mother. I didn't tell my sister. It was my world. Just how you go just today. You could go like this. You see this all the time. That's what was happening to me. Just from this experience that was actually happening to my sister, but it was happening to me. It was happening to me too, and I was like, I gotta know this. So, 76, we went to California to live. We landed in Thousand Oaks, and there was a Church of Religious Science there, and I started going on Sunday, and took my children with me, and we sat together because we didn't know what else to do. There's no kneelers, there's no prayers about how, forgive us for this and that and the other thing we probably did or didn't do. But it was, it was more of a mercurial sense than getting to TRC. And when I got to finally meet Anna, after, it was like my heart opened. Okay, now I'm going to cry. I'm going to try not to cry. Anyway, it was, I felt like the word, I have it in my hands already, thank you. The word, oh, here we go. I'm done. I'm supposed to be done now. Sorry.
You can have another 5 minutes.
Thank you. Thank you. I just want to say that I never knew that love could be all that life was about. And by learning to be, I wanted to understand. She taught all about love. All the teachers here teach all about love. I learned to be a better wife, a better mother, a loving friend, I cannot have enough time to tell you the miracles that happen in my life, the healings that have happened in my life. 1978, a group of friends of mine from this religious science group started meeting at my house on Monday nights, and we formed Ventura County TIC. Oh, stop! Let me turn it off. I'm sorry, I just didn't want to overdo. So, Ventura County TIC, 1978, we stayed for years and years, and until, people moved away and all of that. But we were there's one left besides me. There's the two of us left, and we stayed in touch. And when we do come together and talk, get caught up with each other, we talk about the loving miracles or loving relationships, that all the things that TIC stands for. And, at one time there were 40 centers for TIC, and now we're down to 3. And I'm here to say we have to grow, and we have to let a new generation be, the loving people that extend the love of God out into the world. We can't let this stop. So whatever ideas you have, whatever feelings you have about TIC, I've been far away from it, not part of the San Diego Center, but it's always in my heart. It's always with me. And I even had a miracle last night. It's like, I should stop talking. I just want to say one thing more, which is, let's all be love walking, love talking. Let our Christ be out there for all that we are and all we are meant to be. So thank you. Thank you very much. Take my little timer.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Bob, you Kumar, Jesus. Thank you, Diane. That was very precious, very inspiring, and love-filled.
That's all there is.
That's right.
That's all it is.
That's true.
And so, if this talk inspired you, and I can't see why it wouldn't, but we invite you to give your donations and tithes to the teaching of the inner Christ, to support it and make it grow. And there's a quote from the Bible, from Malachi, chapter 3, verse 10. Bring all the tithes into the storehouse, that there may be food in my house, and try now in this, says the Lord of hosts. If I will not open for you the windows of heaven and pour out for you such blessing, there will not be room enough to receive it. And so you can go to our website at teachingoftheinnerchrist.org, click at the very top where it says donations, and you can donate that way, or you can mail your donations or tithes to Teaching of the Inner Christ, that's teaching just singular, 1114 North 2nd Avenue, El Cajon, that's E-L, and then C-A-J-O-N, California. And the zip code is 92021. And we will appreciate any donation or tithe that you would like to give us. And thank you so much for being viewers today.